Welcome, Pokemon players, to another episode of Discount Pokemon Decks. Today's episode is going to be a little different. We're going to talk about what Sun and Moon cards you can get right now and play with right now. So you're probably aware that Pokemon was updated on Friday, and in the shop, if you go to the shop, you will see 3 new decks. Sun and Moon decks. So my suggestion is, if you have the coins, buy one of each of these, as I did. Actually, I tried to buy 2 of one, and I thought it would double my cards. Usually it does that, and it didn't. Might be a glitch, it might not. I don't feel like wasting any more coins to figure out or hassle Pokemon tech support, but if someone else tried it and they did succeed, put it in the comments, let us know. And we're going to talk about some cards that you can put in your deck right now. And you may have noticed a new logo. Thanks a lot to 6 Designs for that. Hopefully get some more artwork in. And if you want to help out the channel in any way, I'm most appreciative. If you want to either spread the word, tell your friends about it, post links. If you find any deck or anything useful, I'd appreciate it. It'd be great if we can build this community up and get more people playing rogue decks and different decks and some mill decks and cheap decks and all that stuff. So I appreciate any way you can help out. You can always contact me. There's multiple ways through YouTube, through the game. So go for it. And I thank you a lot for your continued support and kind words. All right, so the first card I want to talk about is this one right here, the first one that will appear. If you buy all 3 decks, you will get 2 of these big Malasada. And it's an item card. You heal 20 damage and remove a special condition from your active Pokemon. Is this a game-changing card? It's not a game-changing card, but it might be useful in some decks. Obviously, if you see heal and special condition, the first thing that comes to your mind is Machamp. But it might be good in any kind of deck. There's, an Ariados Toxicroak deck. There are going to be decks coming up as well that feature more conditions. Burning is coming back, and with a passion, it seems they've upgraded it. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. And there's a special poison card that I'm looking forward to in this deck to play around with. So it may not be great offensively in a deck. So if you have a deck 20 damage and special condition, but it might be good as a safety card with what will probably be more special conditions coming up. That you'll face again. So if you have a deck, you may want to throw 1 or 2 of these in there. Of course, it might do well with any kind of fairy deck that does healing as well. So it's just good to know that this card is here. Next card I want to talk about is this card, Lily. I'm a little split on this card, and I'll tell you why. So this is draw cards until you have 6 in your hand. If it's your first turn, draw cards until you have 8 in your hand. It sounds okay. But I want to get to the gimmick first. You're like, wow, 8 cards in your hand on your first turn. But usually when you on your first turn, you have a supporter there because you want a supporter in your hand because you usually have, let's say, not a good hand. You don't want to draw into a bad hand and then have Lily in your hand because it's not really going to help you out. It's not going to bail you out if you can't play any of those cards in your hand. So that's number 1. Number 2, 8 cards. So what is the chance that you get Lily in your first hand? And let's just assume there's 4 of these, because right now I only have 3, because you'll get 3 if you buy all 3 decks, but let's say we have 4. What are the chances? The chances are only 40%. So it's not really, 2 cards for 40%. I don't know if it's worth it. Obviously, you'd want Lily in a deck where you have lots of item cards. So maybe something like, a Raichu, something where you're putting down a lot of creatures with Skyfield. So maybe something like Rainbow Road might be worth it. I'm trying to think of a few more, like Rayquaza. There's one more, Mega Gardevoir. So maybe in that sense where you're going to be emptying your hand a lot, and you want to, you can empty your hand by playing item cards, putting basic Pokemon down. Then maybe I can see Lily being worth it. Maybe even in like Energy Disruption deck, right? If you're playing Hammers or any kind of item card deck, Lily is worth it. But I'm not convinced that this draw until you have 8 cards. I see that as a kind of tricky thing there. I don't think that's going to be really useful. Another trainer in this set is Professor Kukui. This card I like, and I've used it a couple times, and it's worked out pretty well. You get 3 if you get all 3 decks. Draw 2 cards during this turn. Your Pokemon attacks do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So it's like a better Giovanni's scheme. and really, you should just, if you have Giovanni's scheme, you may want to consider replacing it with this card. I think getting the 2 cards, it's not a great thing. It's like a bad Tierno, but the extra 20 damage is a bonus, and it's a nice little bonus to have. You kind of forget it. So the idea behind this card, at least from my take, is that you have a good setup already. You don't really, so I'll give you one scenario. I had a good setup. I had a Sycamore in my hand and a Professor Kukui. Now, I could have played the Sycamore. I didn't have many other cards in my hand, but my Pokemon were all set up. I didn't need to evolve anyone. I didn't need to get any energy. I placed the energy already. I really didn't need to do anything, so I played Professor Kukui. I drew 2 cards, and I think it gave me another basic Pokemon to put down. I wasn't in real need, in a real hurry, but that 20 damage helped me actually knock out my opposing Pokemon, so it was good. It was helpful, and you kind of forget that. So it's going to be a card that, you're not going to replace an N or Sycamore in your deck with, but it's good to kind of have around so that mid to later in the game, when you aren't desperate for cards, your setup is all there, and you need a little extra damage, it's going to help out. We're going to move to the 2 of the better cards, I think, in this set, or at least in the ones you can acquire. Nest Ball. You get 6 of these in the sets, and this is a really good card. The uses are obvious. So search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it onto your bench, then shuffle your deck. The uses for this should be really obvious. You want this in any deck where you're mixing EX or big basic Pokemon and regular Pokemon. So, you can think about something like Yveltal. You have a Yveltal EX and regular Yveltal. You might have Mew, and you want to get, your Mewtwo Garbodor deck. Well, you can get a Mew EX and or a Trubbish. You want to put this, let's say, something like Houndoom Bunnelby, something where you have all basics, but a mix of big and small. So instead of using Ultra Ball, Little Ball, this Nest Ball is really, really worthwhile. I'm very pleased with this card, and I've already put it in a couple of decks. The last trainer is Timer Ball, and Timer Ball is an interesting card. Flip 2 coins. For each head, search your deck for an evolution Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. If you've watched me, if you've watched any of my former videos, especially anything with the mill deck, where I'm using Team Rocket's Handiwork, you'll know I hate the coin flips for that. Like, I'd rather just give me 1 each time instead of flip 2 coins, because I hate striking out, and that's why, if you've also watched my video, I prefer Shauna over Birch. Yes, I know statistically Birch will get you more cards in the long run, but I feel like getting 4 cards that the time you don't get the coin flip is a big hindrance, and I'd rather be assured of 5 than risk 7 and be stuck with 4 in some games. But in any case, I've actually played with this, and the times where you strike out, it doesn't really matter that much. Probably because it's an item card instead of supporter. So Team Rocket's Handiwork, you have 1 chance, it's supporter. That's the only supporter you're going to play, and that's kind of important if you think about it, right? It's you're using up your resources. So every turn you have 1 resource of using a supporter, and if you get nothing out of it, it's tough. With an item card, it's not that big of a deal, and the benefits outweigh the downsides. This is a card that you may want to consider in every deck you have Evo Soda to replace it with Timer Ball, for a couple of reasons. 1, it puts the cards in your hand and doesn't evolve them. So the problem with Evo Soda, sometimes you may have a stage 1 that when you place it will do something. You could think of Zubat, the line of bats where you do damage every time you put it down. You might think of something like Ghastly and Haunter. Cards like that. I think Servine is another one. the superior line, where you put a card down and you can perform an ability, but if you're using Evo Soto, that ability doesn't activate. Using Timer Ball, it does. So that's number one benefit. Number two is you can get two of them in your hand. So if you've ever played Grass, you know what I'm talking about. You have your Forest of Giant Plants, you have your basic, you play Timer Ball, and all of a sudden you have your stage 2 if you get both coin flips. So this is a super good card. I'm very pleased, and you get 6 of them with both. So all 3 decks. So again, I've put this in a couple of decks right away, and I'm definitely seeing the benefits of it. Now now that we've done the trainers, let's move on to the Pokemon. You know what? I'm gonna give away 1 pack of cards in this section, and we'll give 1 pack in the secret phrase is Timer Ball. Again, only the first person that puts the secret phrase in a YouTube comment will win, and you can only win once per video. So if you've already won, please don't respond with a second secret phrase. So for the Pokemon, there's only a couple that you can use now. Unfortunately, there's some good ones here, but you don't get that many with the cards. And again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can order. I assumed you can buy more than 1 deck, but it did not show up for me. And honestly, I've got better things to do than start hounding Pokemon support or digging around. Quite honestly, I'm a very patient person, so I can honestly wait until the set's released another couple of weeks from now. So I'm okay with that. But let's talk about some of the Pokemon. Here's an interesting one. Gday Maru, and I'm probably butchering the name. Please, if you know how to pronounce this, you can put it in one of the comments. Gday Maru. And this is an interesting attack here. This Discharge. Discard all lightning energy from this Pokemon. This attack does 30 damage for each card you discarded in this way. And the first thing that's going to come to mind is Magnezone, right? If you can get a bunch of lightning in your hand and put it on this guy in 1 turn, you can do a decent amount of damage for a little basic Pokemon. So it might be good to add to a lightning deck if you've got one of those. And you have a card like Clement, where you can get the energy in your hand, dump it all on him, surprise 120 damage. That's pretty cool. I think it's a very interesting. There's some good synergy there, so something to consider. Next card we're going to look at is this guy, Incineroar, and you're going to get 2 of these. 1 and 1. This is a fire. It's a stage 2, so it's going to be a little clunky. But the most interesting thing is not this Darkest Lariat. I mean, it's a pretty good attack. If you can get that out, you might be able to do 200. It might do 0. It might do 100. You don't know. But I think the more interesting attack is this Fire Fang, because it's got this word burned in it. And they've changed the ruling for burned in Sun and Moon, and it actually retroactively goes to all cards that have burned, which right now there are none in the standard format, but in older formats there are. Burn does, I believe, 20 damage per turn as opposed to poison. So that's something interesting. And again, that's why I said Big Malasada might come back a little more. So, you're doing, 50 or whatever each turn, 50 per turn, and then it gets back, it's like 70. That's not bad. Maybe not worth it for stage 2. Maybe we can find better burn cards, but if you're new to burn and you want to try it out, definitely Incineroar. And there's a 4-3-2 line of this. So you could put this in a deck right away and check it out and see how it goes. Next card, Golduck. Not the greatest card in the world, but this Double Jet is interesting. Discard up to 2 water energy cards from your hand. This attack does 60 damage for each card you discard in this way. So you can get 120 damage from a stage 1 in water. That's pretty good. And it's very easy to get 2 water cards in your hand, especially if you're discarding them and putting back. Obviously, you can use energy retrieval. There's a ton of ways to do that now, so we don't have to go over all the ways. But that makes this an interesting card. Finally, the last card here is this Decidua. And again, if I'm pronouncing this wrong, please, I apologize. I'm so pleased with this card. Because it's finally a grass type that has some oomph, without some caveat. It always seems like the grass types, finding a good fighter always comes with some kind of caveat. Always something you have to kind of, add to it to make it better. So, for instance, for Sceptile EX, you need Ariados to make your opposing Pokemon poisoned. For Vespiquen, you need to get a lot of cards in your discard before that attack works. There's no real good attack, green attacker. There's no real straight up strong green attacker, at least in my opinion. And I think this kind of fits the bills. 120 damage. Yes, it requires 3 energy, but you can get that in 2 turns with a green and a double colorless. I think that fits in with a lot. I wish I had more of these. Right now, it's just a 3-2-2 line that I have from the theme packs I bought, but it's worth it. It's actually pretty good. I'm pleased with this card, very much so. And again, it's something you can use right away. You can put a 2-2-2 line or a 3-2-2 line in any grass deck you have and try it out. So, you don't have to wait until February to try out some of these cards. You can get these packs if you have the coins. If not, grind and get them. Go get yourself a good deck, and see how. Try them out before you actually spend money on them or anything. Okay, so I'm gonna give away another pack. So this secret phrase is gonna be Brave Bird. We'll do Decidua's attack, Brave Bird. So again, be the first one to comment with Brave Bird. In the YouTube comment field, and as always, send me a trade offer. I will send you 1 pack of evolutions. Friend me, send me a trade offer, and that's pretty much it. All right, thanks a lot, and until next time, take care. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you'll know when our next video is released. Also, check out our playlists where you can find videos by topics like Mill decks or cheap EX decks.